Hey, and welcome to the Coming Strength and Fitness Fitcast. I'm Jill, coach and owner of CSNF, and I'm here along with my team to take your fitness experience to a new level. In each episode, we'll bring you helpful conversations with our coaches, members, and guests to provide additional value to your gym experience and understanding to our mission at CSNF to change lives through fitness. Hope you enjoy the episode.
Well, everyone, thank you for tuning in to this episode. Hope you're doing well. My name is Alex. This is the first time you listen to the CSNF Fitcast. I'm your host, and I'm really excited that you were checking us out. This is actually a part 2 conversation of one we've had earlier. We have 2 guests in the studio. We have 2 of our lovely coaches. We have Coach Alexa and Coach Caitlin. Guys, how are you doing today, both of you?
Doing well.
Good. Staying busy.
Mm-hmm. Caitlin, how much did this Starbucks treat brighten your day?
Oh, it made my day. When I woke up to a text message saying, "What do you want from Starbucks?" I was like, "Praise Jesus. He read my mind. I don't have to go and tote 2 kids into Starbucks and pick up Starbucks."
Exactly.
Made my day.
That's the small things.
Yes.
So everyone, the point of this conversation is really to resume where we started originally, because part 1 of this conversation was talking about we have 2 coaches here that were pregnant, and that was, many, many months ago now. Almost a year ago, probably, if we think about it, maybe.
When we got pregnant,
yeah. When you got pregnant.
Yeah, I found out a year ago, actually, yesterday.
Really?
So, yeah, it popped up on my
and I was like 2 weeks ago.
Wow. Yeah. So we're almost a year later talking about the back half of this journey, talking about your pregnancy journey, delivery, and then post-baby, but in the context of health and fitness, right? So before we kind of dig into that, if this is the first time someone's listening, like, oh, hey, I've always been curious, don't really know these people, let's take 60 seconds really quick. Caitlin, you go first. Tell us like a quick 60 seconds recap of who you are, your involvement in the gym, and then just your family, just fitness, kind of stuff like that really quick.
Sure, yeah. I've been coaching at Coming Strength Fitness probably for, I think, like almost 6 years now. I've been CrossFitting for probably 8, 9, going on 9 years. I've got 2 boys, married to my husband Victor, and 2 boys. My oldest is 3, and my newest is almost 4 months now. His name's Jack. My oldest is Miles. So
you're the only lady at the house.
Yes, outnumbered, but it's fine.
You're a good boy mom.
Yeah, I couldn't see it any other way. Now that I have 2 boys, I'm like, this was how God wanted it to be.
Yes,
so.
You're a really good boy mom.
Yeah,
Miles and Jack are precious. Alexa, quick 60 seconds. Who are you?
I'm Alexa. I started at the gym, I think it's been almost 6 years now, just coaching, and then I also coach our kids and teens program as well. My husband and I got married about 2 years ago. We got pregnant around our 1-year anniversary, and so now we have a almost 4-month-old boy, so I'm officially outnumbered 2. Love being a boy mom so far. He's only 4 months, but I always saw myself as a boy mom, so I was very, very excited and happy when we found out he was going to be a boy.
So you guys this is your second conversation, maybe third of this conversation, but you're not new to CSNF. You've been here many, many years. You know many, many people here. But what's unique about this is we're going to walk through your guys' journeys with the kids. Alexa, you're first. Caitlin, you're second. From pretty much the past year, and we want this to be a tool for really anybody to help them in their journey, whether it's a husband supporting their wife or just the mom going through this themselves. So Caitlin, let's start with you, because I think what's cool too is you also got a BirthFit certification in the middle of this. So let's resume from where we started. You found out you were pregnant with number 2, and you were still working out, still doing stuff. Talk to us about what you did while you were pregnant, as far as when did you stop? When did you lower intensity? What did you eat, drink? Like, what did that look like? Maybe a little bit on the delivery, but then also now that we are, what you said, 4 or 5 months out?
Almost 4.
He's almost 4 months old. Talk to us about what the past 4 months have looked like. So just take a couple minutes and go through that part of your story.
So with my first, I kind of went into it blindly. I didn't really know what kind of modifications I should be making. And there wasn't really a lot of coaches, I feel like, that had gone through pregnancies while CrossFitting, or it had been so long that they just couldn't remember. So I really wanted some more support this time around. I really just wanted to educate myself to be familiar with what I should and shouldn't be doing. And that's a process that's going to be different for every pregnant woman. That's something that you kind of have to figure out on your own. But I did go ahead while I was pregnant this time around, took the BirthFit Educators course. That way I could be like a resource for other pregnant moms in the gym, to kind of help them figure out for them when they should be stopped doing movements. Because a lot of it just being when you're pregnant is figuring out when to stop scaling, when to start scaling movements, when to start changing things. Your body's changing. And it's, like I said, it's different for every woman. So figuring that out was my main goal. So
you're not advocating that every mom or every woman who gets pregnant needs to do the BirthFit certification.
No,
you did it as a tool and resource to help others.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to be there for the pregnant women of our gym and whoever, just to reach out to me, and I can kind of help guide them a little bit, because it is uncharted territory for women. And we want, if you try to Google when should I stop doing toes to bar,
oh my gosh,
you're not going to find an answer, because it's different for everyone. I mean, that's what I did my first time around. When should I stop doing toes to bar? Well,
it depends.
It depends.
It depends.
Right. So, for me this time around, I was a little more careful, because I think you do have to be a little more careful the second time around versus the first time. First time you tend to be, everything just tends to be a little more, I don't know.
Together. Tight structure,
yes. So
rigid.
You have to be a little more careful. I think second time around, I was definitely a little more cautious, scaling things. I'm a taller woman, so I don't have to scale things. I hold a baby, I think, a little bit easier than most women.
Sure.
So I just go off my feel. When things start getting uncomfortable, I had to stop scaling. So pretty much anything after 12 weeks, I started thinking about anything from the rig. I kind of eliminated.
Yep.
Hanging from the ring, that's when you start coning and adding extra pressure to your midline, which you want to avoid. So I stopped that pretty much anything after 12 weeks, and anything high impact, I waited a little further along just because it didn't bother me. But some women, right away can feel anything high impact, including like jumping, running, whatever. They can't do that as early as 12 weeks. Some people even feel it earlier than that.
I immediately could not do any bouncing. Like
really?
even the 200-meter jog in the warm up, I was like, nope, this is not.
Now, when you say no, really quick, what were you basing that off of?
Just how my pelvic floor felt. Like
really?
I literally felt like all of everything inside of me was just like bouncing on top of my pelvic floor.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was really uncomfortable.
Okay. Caitlin, resume.
And that's what a lot of pregnancy is really being in tune with your body's signs and telling you, hey, this feels really heavy, or hey, this feels not right. That's when you know, okay, maybe my rule of thumb now is if you're second guessing it, go ahead and eliminate it.
When in doubt, there's your
answer.
Yes,
when in doubt, that's
there's
it.
your answer.
If you're at all questioning it, then better be safe than sorry.
That's great advice.
Yes, so that's what I tell everyone. Same thing with like lifts. If you're doing a lift, early on it's fine. As you get later on, you're not going to be lifting super heavy just because you feel tired and whatever. But I'd say if there's a chance of you missing that lift, failing that lift, you're going too heavy.
Sure.
You should never take a lift where you're going to fail it when you're pregnant.
And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but as you progress in your pregnancy, weight and load really shouldn't be the priority anyways.
No. I tell women it's all about maintenance at this point. You will certainly be gaining weight. You
should be.
Yes, you're gaining weight. Your goal is just to maintain fitness.
Yes.
For health, for your mental health.
Yes.
Mental health. I mean, that's for me the biggest thing. I worked out for mental health.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's a million other benefits. There is, but it just made me feel better.
I think one of the best things you said in the other episode was that in that process, the priority and perspective shift from, hey, how can I be the best athlete, to how can I better my health for this child now, that you can't continue to push yourself for a season because, okay, I need to change my perspective on how can I focus on this kid and pregnancy and delivery first, and then I can slowly transition back into it.
For sure.
So, Caitlin, anything else you want to add, during your pregnancy part?
Yeah, I mean, my pregnancy was really great this time. I didn't really have any issues, to be honest. I towards the end, obviously as you get more tired, I was really tired this pregnancy. That was my main symptom. So I just scaled things. I just came in here. My main goal was just get some movement in, get my heart rate a little elevated, just to get those endorphins running.
Yes.
And I always felt better leaving the gym. I never felt worse.
So really quick, as we transition to Alexa shortly here, now First trimester, was week 0 to 12, you were just still smart. I mean, it was very early. You can still kind of do a lot of the things. Second trimester, like you said, you really need to be aware of what your body's doing, whether hanging from the rig or laying on your back or stomach, stuff like that. Third trimester, you're really showing, you're feeling it. What were some of the things going through your head as far as now you got a big belly? I mean, it's very uncomfortable. I mean, high impact things, running, jumping, like you probably were minimizing all those. What are some things to think about in more like as you near delivery?
Really, everything's so unstable with your ligaments and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so that was a big thing for me towards the end is I felt like if I wasn't careful, any kind of shifting,
Sure.
I was going to hurt myself. So really, a lot of my focus was slow and controlled movements.
That's good.
Full range of motions, slow squats,
Yes.
things like that. Still getting that full range of motion, getting in that movement.
Yes.
In a slow and controlled manner. So that was my main goal towards the end is just staying
Moving,
open, moving,
so less
stretching
impact,
a lot.
less
Yes.
weight, just stay moving, probably more dumbbells and barbell,
Yeah.
more biking than running,
Yeah,
stuff like that.
Yeah, and as your belly gets bigger, obviously barbell movements, your movement pattern's going to be different. You're going to be going around your belly at this point. So I usually say switch to dumbbells. That's what I did. I switched to dumbbells. I eliminated all high impact stuff towards the end. No running, no box jumping, no double undering. Anything that I felt like was adding extra pressure to my pelvic floor, I just went ahead and eliminated. I probably could have done it, but I didn't want to add extra pressure to my already. You know,
Last question, then we'll transition to Alexa. What about heart rate? What about intensity? How did you taper that?
I did wear a watch, and so I did try to at least maintain. I was always monitoring my heart rate when I was working out. Anytime I saw it get over a certain number, I would stop what I was doing and bring it back down to like a controlled manner. I mean, I know every time I did wall balls, my heart rate would get super high, and I would have to stop. Anytime with wall balls, for whatever reason, they would get my heart rate really high. That and thrusters. So
did you get that specific heart rate number from your doctor, or just like, hey, it just feels too high, or what?
No, and there's no number. I mean, I think the research says like don't get over like 140, but I mean, like I said last time, it would get like that going up the stairs, holding my toddler. So I didn't have a particular number. I just would go off feel.
Gotcha. And that's smart.
If I couldn't have a conversation, that's what I usually say. If you make sure you can have a conversation with somebody.
That's good.
If you're breathing to the point where you can't have a conversation, you're going too hard.
Yes, because there's a fine line between not doing enough and almost like losing part of your health and fitness because you're too worried, but also going too hard, getting your heart rate too high, doing more impact movements that you're like, okay, we need to taper. It's kind of like that in between that you really need, like you're saying, being aware of your body. I'm speaking like I've been pregnant many times. I'm not. I'm just trying to recap what you're saying. Alexa, you have a completely different story and situation, which is unique.
Yeah.
Why don't you give us your 3 to 5 minute version of from when you found out till delivery, and then we'll basically do part 2 with both you guys as far as after baby was born, transitioning back.
I think our biggest differences were postpartum, delivery and postpartum.
Okay.
During pregnancy, the first half, I remember, I think when we did this podcast, I was super nauseous, and I don't think I was working out at that time because I literally was just so nauseous. But after it took probably 18 to 20 weeks, I started getting a lot less nauseous, and I was able to start working out a lot more. I felt like I was able to do a lot more through the second half of my pregnancy than I was the first half. I felt so much better. Actually, the third trimester, obviously I was at my biggest, but I felt the best.
Yeah.
And I was able to do the most, I felt like, just because I had more energy through the third trimester, which I know a lot of people, like second trimester is supposed to be like, oh, you feel the best and you have the most energy. But I was still really nauseous through the majority of the second trimester.
Oh, wow.
So it wasn't until the third trimester that I felt like I was able to really kind of get my fitness even back a little bit.
Oh, wow.
But like Caitlin said, I cut out everything from the rig pretty early on. I cut out all like plyometric stuff, any kind of bouncing. I cut that out really early. I still probably hung from the rig until closer to about halfway because I wasn't coning. I was able to do a good bit of core stuff up until the third trimester.
I'm going to pause you super quick. Let's say that someone's listening, or I'm just going to presume that a husband is listening to their wife, and he has no idea. She's like, what's coning? What is she saying? What does that even mean?
Yeah.
What's coning?
Yeah. So coning is when basically you activate your midline. So you're bracing or any kind of ab movement where you're contracting your abs, and you get kind of like a peak through the middle of your. So how would you explain it?
Yeah, peak. That's a good. That's what.
Yeah,
where your stomach kind of cones and it comes out.
Your abs just elevate in the middle, and almost create like a
cone-shaped
diamond
structure.
back.
Yeah.
down your belly.
Yeah.
So as long as your abs are like staying together, and when you contract, they are obviously your belly is rounded, but your abs are staying together and they don't elevate in the middle. Then typically they say you're safe and you're good.
Your abs will separate. It's inevitable. It's a part of the pregnancy. The main goal is to work out in a way in which it doesn't add that extra pressure. Anytime you're coning, you're adding extra pressure to your abs, adding separation. So the main goal is just to avoid that separation as much as possible. That way, postpartum, everything can come back together. Yeah. You're not making
Now, is that
worse.
why you don't do, like you say, ab mat sit-ups, but you just hold like plank or isometric type stuff? Okay.
Being able to maintain that intra-abdominal pressure, basically.
Gotcha. Sorry, keep going, Alexa.
Well, where was I?
Your third trimester feeling good, kind of eliminated some rig work, stopped coning, stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, and as far as like heart rate stuff, I did feel like I was I felt comfortable and pretty confident getting my heart rate elevated. Even in the third trimester, I actually felt like I was able to push myself harder in the third trimester. And my doctor said as long as I felt good, and he did recommend as long as I could keep having somewhat of a conversation, I was fine. But he didn't really put any restrictions on me, just because I was healthy and I had been doing it beforehand.
Sure.
And
same with my doctor. My doctor encouraged it.
Yeah.
They were like, keep doing what you're doing. You're smart.
sure.
You know what you're doing. They were like, I trust you.
I love that.
So
it was so cool.
I love that.
I actually transferred care. So I was under care with an OBGYN at a hospital, and he was, pretty gung-ho about me working out. But I transferred at 30 weeks. I transferred to the Atlanta Birth Center under just a team of midwives. And they were like, yes, amazing. Keep doing what you're doing. Like, they were super
supportive.
Like, he was supportive, but like, he was like, yeah, just keep doing what you're doing as long as it feels good. They were like, yes, that's amazing. Keep doing it. Like, everything you're doing sounds amazing.
How did that make you feel as a mom?
Oh, amazing. Like, just capable. And like,
would you give that same encouragement to other pregnant moms listening right now?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as long as there's no underlying conditions, I think that's where you have to start taking more precaution. As long as the baby's healthy, the heart rate is staying steady at each checkup, your blood pressure is staying consistent at your checkups, and all those underlying conditions are good. Like, yeah, I mean, you know your body best. And if you feel good doing what you're doing, there probably isn't anything wrong with it.
Yeah.
If, like Caitlin is saying, you're questioning and you're second guessing and something doesn't feel right and you just don't feel confident, that's where I think you need to start reevaluating and start taking steps back and figure out maybe, what you need to take out. But
that's great.
I mean, I think too, just like anything we do, if we're confident in what we're doing, we're probably doing it right.
Yeah. That's good. So Caitlin, we're going to bounce back to you and give us the couple-minute rendition of Jack was born.
Labor.
And we don't need to go into the full details of what labor entails. Let's keep this PG at least. But how was labor, and then how was transitioning back to where you are today?
Sure. Yeah. So I had actually a really easy journey this time. I mean, last time was pretty easy too. I had some more complications the first time around, but this time around, I mean, it was a breeze. I know they say working out helps speed up labor, but I know also with my second child, they do say it's faster. It was pretty fast. I would say it was a couple hours, probably like 5 to 6 hours total. Woke up middle of the night with contractions. I got my brother, who's actually a cop, to come pick up Miles and pick him up in the back of his cop car and take him to their house because he was staying with them while I was in the hospital.
That's fun.
But anyway, so we got to the hospital. I was already 7 centimeters dilated when I got there.
Wow.
They told me I didn't have time for the epidural, and I said, please make time. I didn't prepare for that. So they put in a rush order. They were able to get me an epidural. It was fine. But, yeah, I mean, my labor was smooth. I mean, it took less than 10 minutes to push him out.
No way.
Yeah, and recovery was awesome.
Don't tell Alexa, close your ears. Close your ears.
Look,
hey, this is coming for number 2, okay?
I was about to say, first time around was not this smooth. This time around, it was a breeze. I mean, it almost makes me want to have another kid.
Sure.
Because it was so easy.
How did your strength play into effect?
I mean, you never really know. I still squatted the whole time. I think that could have helped with pushing, potentially. I mean, they do say it helps because you know how to activate some of those muscles that you need for pushing.
Sure.
So I do think that could have helped. I mean, it was less than 10 minutes of pushing. It was actually only like 3 contractions. And it was easy. So my labor was a breeze this time around. I can't say definitively if it was because of maintaining my fitness the whole time while I was pregnant. But I'm sure that probably didn't hurt. And then just postpartum in general was it was a breeze for me. I was able to start I started walking probably a week or 2 after labor. I started doing some walks around my neighborhood. And then right around 3 weeks, I was just getting so stir crazy. I was like, I got to get back in the gym. And so, because my husband went back to work, I was just sitting in the house with the kids. I was like, I got to get out.
I got to get out of here.
So
fever.
So I came to the gym, and I did not get the doctor's orders to work out yet. Usually they wait till about your 6-week checkup to do that.
Right.
But I know my body.
Yep.
I came in. I trust myself. I just did very minimal movement. I know what I can do, what I can't do. And I knew at about 3 weeks it was time. I started doing some movements, really nice, slow, controlled. And then once the doctor cleared me at 6 weeks, that's when I started. I mean, it's still a slow, gradual process.
Yes.
Even now. I'm being very careful because coming back from Miles, my first, I was getting injuries because I was trying to come back too quickly. It's crazy because you don't realize how tired you are when you're pregnant until you're not pregnant. And lucky for me, I have a great sleeper. He was sleeping through the night at like 2 months.
Yeah.
And so I felt great. I wasn't pregnant. My energy level was really high. So I just wanted to get back at it, and I had to really pull myself back and remind myself, with Miles, it was the same thing. I rushed into things too quickly, tried to do the weights too heavy too quickly, and I was getting injuries as a result of that. So my biggest key point this time around is really slow and steady. I mean, the athlete in me wants to go fast and wants to go heavier and wants to do this. And postpartum is forever. There's no time limit on this stuff. Take it slow, rebuild slowly, and it's fun. It's fun getting to rebuild, start from scratch again is what it feels like. And really get a chance to rebuild, rebuild all my strength and things like that.
That's such a good perspective that it's an opportunity. It's not a setback. It's an opportunity. And it might have been one of you guys that said it last time that it took 9 months for your body to go through this change to grow this human, that it's going to take a very similar amount of time to kind of get back to, let's say, labor or deliveries here in another 9 months for to kind of lose some of the baby weight and kind of getting your strength back and feel just confident and secure in what you're doing again.
And honestly, probably more than that, because think about now you're breastfeeding. If you're breastfeeding,
sure,
you're taking care of babies, especially if you have babies that don't sleep through the night. I mean, it's harder now.
It's a great point.
So give yourself the grace, the time. I mean, a lot of women feel this pressure to lose the baby weight right away. I mean, I'm in some mom Facebook groups, and they're all like, I can't believe I haven't lost the baby weight yet. And I'm like, it took you 10 months almost to put it on. Relax. There's
your
no
kid's
rush.
3 months old.
Yes, there's no rush. It's it's
that's
a slow
good.
process.
Alexa, yours could probably be night and day different from what Alexa could just said, right?
It was completely night and day different.
With as much detail as you want to provide as you feel comfortable with, talk to us about your labor and then your transition back.
Yeah. Labor is definitely where we took a turn. Well, I was 2 weeks. Well, no, he was exactly 1 week late. He came on 41 weeks to the day. And
I beat her, by the way.
Yeah,
she was 2 weeks ahead of me, and I delivered how many days before you?
4.
Wait, because
Yeah.
didn't you have the same exact due date?
No, she was 2 weeks
sh-
ahead of me.
I was 2 weeks ahead, and I came a week later.
And I even-
I came 4 days later.
yes.
4 days
I
later.
even
Yes.
joked with her. I was like, wouldn't it be funny if I beat you to labor? I was
And
like, there's
she
no
did.
way I'm
There's
going to beat her.
right.
She's 2 weeks ahead of me.
And you did.
And I beat her by a couple
Wow.
days.
Yeah.
She was not happy when
And
she saw.
we talked the day before I went into labor because I was like, what did you do?
Tell me your secret.
How did you get him out?
Give me the bouncy ball. Let me walk
Yeah.
on the steps. Whatever.
yeah.
whatever
Oh,
you
yeah.
do.
I was doing all the bouncing on the balls, all the
Yep.
everything. But anyways, yeah, so I went into labor, started having contractions at 4 a.m. and I labored at home until about 7. I went from contractions lasting 20 to 30 seconds. They started out with a minute of rest. And then we went from 1 minute of contractions to 1 minute of rest within 2 hours.
Oh my gosh.
It was really, really fast. We went
full minute of contractions.
Yeah,
That
with
sounds
only one.
terrible.
I only ever had about a minute of rest. I never had that 4 or 5 minutes, 10 minutes in between contractions.
Oh,
like I
my
thought I was gonna
gosh.
have.
Yeah.
So it was literally just enough time to catch my breath and figure out what to do before another one happened.
Oh my gosh.
So we were on the phone with the birth center and my doula, and I was like, I have to come in. I have to come in. I was in serious
Were you not planning on coming in before?
So they wanted me to wait as long as possible. They don't admit you at the birth center until you're 6 centimeters dilated. And because I went so fast, we didn't know how far along I was as far as the centimeters. And your contractions can change without dilation. So they were encouraging me to wait as long as I could, because first time pregnancy, there was a chance that I could have been just 2 centimeters dilated and they would have had me go home.
Yeah, that would not have been good.
But I just knew. I was like, we have to go to the birth center right now. So we left and we got there, and I was a little under 6 centimeters, and they were like, we're going to go ahead and admit you because your contractions are there.
Yeah.
Your dilation is almost there. So I labored at the birth center for 3 or 4 hours. In the water, which was really nice, on the bed, in the bathroom, shower, everything. Just changing positions, trying to figure out what was working. My goal was to have a natural birth with no epidural or pain medication. And I stalled at 9.5 centimeters for 2 hours. So I literally went from
Oh wow.
starting labor to 9.5 centimeters within I think it was about 4 hours. And I felt ready to push, but I still had a 0.5 centimeter and my water hadn't broke. So they went in and broke my water, and the midwife literally looked up and she was like, Alexa, we're going to transfer to the hospital. An ambulance is going to be here in 5 minutes. Literally within 5 minutes, I was in the ambulance going to the hospital, because there was meconium in my water, which is basically elevates the risk of baby having issues during labor and after labor. Luckily, there was no issues. Robbie was born super healthy, no complications with the meconium, but the ambulance ride was horrible. I think just the anxiety and the stress of having to transfer and the unknown of going to a hospital. I really wanted to stay out. I didn't want to deliver in a hospital. I wanted to stay at the birth center. So I was really just upset and anxious and nervous. And my labor ended up stalling when we got to the hospital. Robbie's heart rate was going up and down. They started prepping for a C-section. I was like, this is not going to happen. I'm not going to have a C-section. So they were like, okay, we're going to take a break for 45. I literally took a break for 45 minutes from pushing. I was literally fighting every contraction to hold it in, to just get Robbie to calm down. If I stayed calm, Robbie's heart rate would level out. We had to do that twice. So we rested for 45 minutes and then started pushing again. I pushed maybe for, 30 to 45 minutes again. I pushed in total for about 2 hours. 2 hours of actual pushing, but with 2 30 to 45 minute breaks in there.
Gotcha.
That was really hard. It was really, really stressful. And it was really hard on my body. You don't know because you've never been in labor, but when your body is ready to push, you have to push. There's really nothing else you can do. And it took everything I had to fight that.
What was going through your mind during that?
I told Rob so many times, I don't think I can do this. Like,
Quick context. Rob is your husband,
yes,
and Robbie is your child. So they're both Rob. Okay.
Yes.
I don't know if you meant you're just talking to your belly.
Yes. And if it was not for my husband, I wouldn't have been able to do it.
Yeah.
There's no way.
That's why I say that
so
women are the superior gender. Because of this right here. Women are by far the superior
couldn't
gender.
do it.
No way.
No
I've
way.
witnessed 2 of them. I'm married and have 2 kids. There's no way in heck. My wife is so much stronger because of this specific instance. Keep going, Alexa.
But yeah, I mean, I just kept looking over at him, and just him saying, like, you can do this.
Yeah.
Like,
Gave you that support.
our son is right there. Yeah.
And you did it.
I did it. I literally had to block out, like, every contraction. In between every contraction, I was like, I don't know that I can do this again. And then they said, okay, it's time. Or I would feel it coming, and I'd be like, I would just literally block everything out. Like, I could not talk to myself. I just had to do it. Like, there was no...
Yep.
I didn't realize, like, I've always been a pretty, like, competitive person and, like, positive. Like, I can do this. I can do whatever I set my mind to it. I literally just went blank.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because all, like, the only thing that I could think about was I can't do this.
Sure.
So I just had to cut that out, and I just did it.
Yep.
I wasn't, like, talking myself up like I feel like most people do, or like you have to do. I don't know. It was like nothing I've ever done.
You just went to
before.
a very dark place.
I went to a very, very dark
it.
place.
You found it.
Yeah.
So you didn't have a C-section.
I did not have a C-section.
You pushed him out.
I did not have an epidural. I got him out, and I don't know how.
And you said he was healthy.
They put him right on my chest. He stayed on me for about 45 minutes to an hour. They just left him.
What's that called? The golden hour or something? Yes,
yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, I was really grateful for that because I know I've always heard at the hospital, you know, a lot of times they'll take them and, you know, run all their tests, and I really didn't want that to happen because I just knew that time was really, really important for bonding, for healing, for breastfeeding.
Yeah.
And so I was really grateful that they still did that, and then they came back and did, you know, measurements and stuff really quickly and put them right back on me. So it was good. It was terrible, but it all worked out.
The amazing part of that is that you get a baby at the end. It's not you're going through a bunch of pain and then all of a sudden it stops and like it's like an injury or something. You get a sweet ending. Like your child is there, which is the best part, obviously.
Yes,
it's all worth it, like they said.
Exactly.
No other bond than the one that I have with Robbie.
Yes.
Like, I mean, that boy. I hate leaving him.
Yep.
I hate like not having him on me. Like, yeah.
Yeah. So 1, thank you for sharing all that. 2, from then, talk to us about the journey until now. Take a couple of minutes and talk to how you transitioned
so my
back.
postpartum journey was pretty rough too. It was very long. We stayed in the hospital for like 32 hours. We got admitted. Everything was good. Or we got, you know, released to go home. Everything was good. Breastfeeding, he latched really well. That went well in the beginning. And then I all of a sudden like had like huge chunks out of my nipples, and we realized he had a tongue tie.
Ouch.
So we took him in and got that, got his tongue tie clipped. Nursing was an uphill battle after that. His healing was a very long process. And I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but I could not do anything for like 6 to 8 weeks. Like
any physical
even
activity.
if I went for a walk, my bleeding would get worse. My pelvic floor just felt wrecked. I had a 2nd degree tear, which seemed to heal just fine, but I think it was more of just like the trauma of pushing for so long and holding in contractions and not pushing when I felt like my body needed to. I don't know if all of that in combination, like my body just felt totally wrecked.
Yeah.
And I didn't stop bleeding actually until like 13 weeks.
Wow.
Which is really like
long,
crazy. So I was not able to really work out at all. I worked out one time, my bleeding had kind of stopped, and I went into the gym and worked out, and it started all over again. And so it was just kind of back and forth, starting and stopping and trying to, test the waters, like see how long I could walk for and feel okay. But it was a very, very long process. I didn't really start working out consistently until probably 2 weeks ago, and my son is 3.5 months, almost 4 months.
You know what's crazy is you've got a wound the size of a dinner plate after you have a baby.
Yeah.
That is unreal.
I heard that the other day. I was like, I never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
You got to give it time to heal.
Yeah, you do.
Caitlin, what is your initial reaction to hearing Alexa's process?
It makes me really grateful for how easy mine was. I mean, my first, though, was not super easy. I hemorrhaged first time around. I had some staph infections, some things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just makes me a little more grateful, I guess, for how easy I had it this time around. And it makes you appreciate fitness a little bit more and how lucky, I was able to get back into moving so quickly.
Yeah.
Because if I think about having to not be able to work out for 13 weeks, oh my goodness.
That's the thing too. I know everybody's like birth is totally different, but like I can't imagine if I wasn't fit and I wasn't working out leading up to, like, it was so hard
physically
to
demanding.
get that baby out. Like 2 hours of like,
it's harder than any CrossFit
I had never
workout.
worked so hard in my entire life. And like if I hadn't have been doing CrossFit for so long, like I probably wouldn't have been able to do it.
I mean, CrossFit is interval training. Labor is interval training. I mean, and I honestly, pushing is harder than any CrossFit workout I've ever done.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes.
There is nothing harder than pushing. It takes everything out of you.
As a witness of my own 2 children and a CrossFit coach, I would 100% agree with that. Guys, as we kind of round third and kind of come to home base, any last minute thoughts on some takeaways, maybe something that either you learned, you do the same, different, general advice you'd give to moms, anything that you want to add to this conversation?
I just say don't be afraid a lot of women I think get afraid to keep working out in their pregnancies. And there's so many benefits to maintaining your fitness while you're pregnant. And a lot of women are just so afraid. If you just listen to your body and you trust yourself, I mean, I think you're perfectly fine doing whatever you feel comfortable doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I would have done differently, I saw a pelvic floor therapist probably around 12 weeks. I would have seen her a lot earlier.
12 weeks pre or post?
Post. So, postpartum, I saw one pre, but postpartum, I probably would have gone closer to like 6 weeks, because once I started doing some core activation exercises and like I don't think my body could have handled the intensity of CrossFit, but doing some slow squats, some glute bridges, some even some really minor plank holds and dead bugs and stuff like that. I've noticed now that I've started doing that in CrossFit, my pelvic floor feels so much better. Like I have 0 symptoms now. And that it's only been 2 weeks of me being back at work. But I thought that because I was still bleeding and because I just felt so wrecked that I shouldn't be doing anything, I just needed to do nothing and just rest. I think if I had started doing something a little soon or a lot sooner, I think I would have healed a little bit quicker.
Gotcha. I think that's awesome. Guys, this could not have been better. I appreciate your time. I think the real win and value from people listening is that, especially females that are going through this process, they're not alone. That we had 2 separate experiences, same purpose, to have a child, but one very easy, but also your first was not as easy, second one not as easy. But whatever part of the process a female find themselves in, is that they're not alone. They can relate, and that they can do this. So I appreciate you guys just sharing your guys' experience through this and some encouragement along the way. Guys, last 30 seconds, probably the most important question. Are you ready? Stranger Things. Thumbs up or thumbs down?
I haven't watched it since season 1.
Really?
I watched season 2. It got too dark for me.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, if you think season 2 got dark.
Yeah, I know.
No.
I heard
I'm glad you
it
stopped.
just got darker. That's
I'm
why I
glad
stopped
you
watching
stopped.
We watched the first 2 episodes of this last season. I was like, nope, I'm not watching anymore.
Of season 4?
Yeah, I cannot watch it anymore.
I will say the opening scene in the first episode, I was like, oh my gosh. But the storyline is incredible. It's sci-fi crazy.
I'm
yeah.
watching Married at First Sight right now, and I am hooked.
That's awesome.
That's funny.
It is bizarre to me, but I am hooked.
That's awesome. Caitlin, Alexa, thank you so much. We'll see you around the gym, and we'll see you in another episode. Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for joining us today, friends. We hope you enjoyed this conversation and gained a greater understanding of the mission and vision of the CSNF community. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram under Coming Strength and Fitness, or hit us up on comingstrengthandfitness.com. See you next time.